Found out my mom cheated on my dad, advice needed. I am 18F, and I found out my mom, 40F, cheated on my dad, 40M, few months ago. I found texts on her phone, telling a man that she loves him and pretty sure she has had physical relations with him too. My parents and I have really close relationship. Even during my teen years, I used to prefer hanging out with them rather than my friends. I share everything in my life with them and they are my biggest supporters. But they don't have a relationship at all. My father was forced into this marriage and my mother had really high expectations from this marriage. Seeing her parents' marriage, my parents had an arranged marriage. But my father never gave her what she wanted and never took her side during the time my grandma or aunt, father's side of the family, harassed my mom. He always defended them, saying that they wanted best for my mom. My mom is really good person. She has been taking in foster kids and animals, as long as I can remember and takes care of us, sometimes even at her expense. I love her but she is also an oversharer and once during her rant, she told me that my father and her haven't had sex since 6 years. My father even forgot her b-day this YR and treats her with respect you give to a stranger, not like his wife. She feels completely isolated from my family and only interacts with them if necessary, but she has never told me to act badly towards them, and when I saw what was happening to her and acted out, she scolded me that she has beef them not me, so I should respect them. The thing I'm feeling guilty about is not telling my father. But I feel like it's justified from my mother's end too. She wanted a loving husband but is stuck him, an unloving husband. My father is a really conservative and pure man. He rarely shouts and is really patient, but he never takes my mom's side. He is really loving towards me and respects my opinions. He is setting a really high expectations for me too. But he doesn't love my mom and doesn't give her a clean cut from a life him. One of his sisters had cheated on her husband and he cut off any contacts her and isn't even cordial her during family reunions. They had a really close relationship before and her husband was my father's really good childhood friend. He did same another friend of his too. In short, he hates disloyal PPL. I do not plan to tell him about mom's cheating as of now. But I just wanted advice from PPL who have experienced this kind of situations. Please be kind. Edit. I want to clear this up that my father doesn't believe in divorces. He has made that clear several times, in front of me. Few years ago, my parents had separated and even lawyers were called, but nothing happened cause my father didn't want to divorce.
Confession 2. Never thought I'd be in this situation, but my girl might have a crush on my brother. So this is crazy, but I had my partner over at my family's house, and I was too tired to walk her home one night. Turns out that as she was walking down the hall and out of the house, my younger bro happened to be leaving the kitchen only in underwear. She sent a voice message telling me about how awkward and embarrassed she felt, but her voice sounded really jumpy and nervous. She's 22 and he's 21, with me being the oldest, 23M. It's very noticeable how nervous and jumpy she is around him now, and since then I've almost always caught her glaring at him when she thinks he might be walking by in general or grabbing something nearby. She also insisted on me giving her his number, wouldn't take no for an answer when I told her he casually told me to say hi to her, to say hi back. She also can't stop asking me about him or mentioning him somehow when we're alone together. Sometimes she zones out while I'm talking to her, but magically becomes engaged in the conversation when I say something about him. I'm beyond jealous, but refuse to talk to her about it because we just recently got married, and NGL introducing this topic is pretty embarrassing to me in the sense that I have too much respect for myself to talk to my girl about how wet she gets with that image of my brother's bulge in tight underwear walking past her shoulder to shoulder. Later on, I also find out she wasn't wearing panties, just a long skirt, and since that night, she's completely stopped wearing panties when coming over, although IDK if she's just doing it to mess with me since she always dresses modestly in a long skirt when she's around. Confession 3. Happy New Year's to me. Me, 21M, and wife, 21F, have been and technically are still married for 2 years. A little over a year ago now I cheated on my wife. She got mad, obviously, and we started working in repairing our marriage. It was hard, tough and difficult. Testing at times, but I thought it was getting better. Then today I'm driving home from dropping off my friend, 34M, home and I get a call from my wife. Knew I was out. Knew who I was with and where I was going. All of a sudden asking me if I cheating, who I'm with, where I'm at. And I was literally 5 minutes from driving into the driveway. Of course I say so and I get home and go inside. And she instantly wants to see my phone. So I let her know hesitation didn't have anything to hide, or so I thought. In September, I texted an old friend of mine hi, got no response. In December, I got some stupid scam text from an female scammer, nothing sexual at all, and then she went to Snapchat, where it really went downhill. In November, I told some girl that she was pretty. That was her breaking point. Saying I needed permission to text a girl, I should never ever even text a female ever. Meanwhile, I never did anything wrong. Am I in the wrong? Am I that horrible? Now she wants a divorce. Why does it seem like she was looking for a way out? She wouldn't believe me when I would tell her I wasn't seeing anyone or talking to anyone like that. Why am I suffering after working so hard for her to trust and love me? Why am I feeling like I'm being punished for doing nothing wrong? Am I a horrible person? I know I messed up, but why can't I redeem myself to the person I love? I've tried so hard and got nothing. Now I'm looking to soon be divorced. And I have nothing at the moment. I have the clothes on my back, clothes for work. And that's it. I'm alone. Confession 4. I attempted to burn down my aunt's house when I was 9. When I was 9 years old, I was almost completely mute and would talk very little unless I was with my mom. My dad always got a week off work in the summer, and I would stay with my aunt and her boyfriend. I always had a good time and would just watch TV until her boyfriend came home. He was very extroverted and would get drunk and try to talk to me, often belittling me in front of his buddies for being so quiet and weird, I guess. Anyways, one time my aunt went to the corner store, and while she was gone, I set fire to one of her boyfriend's work jackets and threw it on the living room carpet. The whole thing almost instantly ignited. Right as the rug caught fire, she walked through the door, ran over to me, yanked me by the wrist, and tossed me on her bed. Then, she pulled a fire extinguisher from under her bed and put out the fire, with the help of the water hose as well. The whole living room was pretty much destroyed and soaked with water. She beat my ass for almost an hour and scolded me, asking why I would do it. When my parents were back in town, I was threatened with military school and lost all access to friends, video games, etc. for like 3 months. I always knew I carried lots of resentment for my loved ones, but I didn't know why. It wasn't anything terrible, just felt like getting this off my chest. I've been feeling genuinely guilty lately because, shortly after this, my aunt's life went downhill. Morale of the story: be nice to kids because you never know what's going on in their head. To this day, it's one of the worst things I ever did as a kid. Confession 5. I've had many friends, but none of them stayed. Will I ever be able to make a genuine friend? So I've had best friend at school. We were best friends from class 7 to 12. We were so close that everyone around us envied, so as this is going on, we joined in the same college in 11th. Our parents requested the authority to allot us the same room, and we happily started our 11th standard. But after few months the other roommates started behaving oddly with me. They didn't used to respond properly. I could clearly see the hatred in their faces. But I'm unable to decipher the reason. As their hatred is going on, my friend went home for few days. So I felt alone, and one day I confronted my roommate about their behavior. And they started telling me the reasons. They heard few things about me, of which some of them were true and some of them were not. So they judged me because of the things they heard from some random people. And then comes the bombshell. They've heard all of it from my best friend. My best friend of 5 years. I shared some of my darkest secrets with her with full trust, and she let them out in open. At that moment I felt betrayed. I cried my eyes out. Few days after my friend returned, I couldn't confront her about all this. Instead, I just forgived her. After few days I did tell her about what the other roommates have said, and she cried, told that it just happened in an impulse, etc. etc. She apologized me, and I forgived her. But she continued to do so, telling more shit about me behind my back. I just waited for my 12th boards to finish so that I can be out of that place. It took me so long to recover from that incident. After my 12th, when we chose different career paths, I didn't even bother to cut her off. Similar incidents happened with few other people whom I became close to, and eventually I stopped caring. I stopped making friends. I just have acquaintances, but not real friends with whom I can share everything and who will be my side no matter what. Long after that, I've got a boyfriend now who is there to support me in everything, but having a friend is a whole different thing.